Lei grabbed Wine's long hair and pulled so harshly that she was forced to be dragged inside the room. She struggled to get pride off his grip, groaning in pain, asking him to release her hair. Lei asked, "Is what I heard true?" He then slapped her cheek, instantly getting set. She cried in distress but controlled from making any noise, fearing that he would beat her harshly if she did. "Wine, I'm sorry, please don't hurt me," she begged. He looked back over his shoulder, but no one was there that time. An evil smile played on his lips as he turned back and looked at her, which made her even more scared because she knew he only smirked when he intended to harm her. Then she turned, continuously wishing to disappear, but he easily sensed her fear and, not releasing her hair from his grip, he brought his other hand to her waist, squeezing it tightly rather than gently getting pleasure from it. "Wine, Lay, please don't." She tried to stop him from squeezing her, but he wasn't listening. Her tears continued to flow as he leaned over and whispered something. "Lay, Dad isn't here either. Let's have some fun before he arrives." He reached to lick Yellow, but she stopped him by placing her hand between his lips and her ear. This made him angry. He immediately grabbed her wrist and twisted and pushed it behind her back, causing her to scream in pain. "Lay, don't scream." He covered her mouth, but they heard approaching footsteps, which stopped Lay, and he clenched her hand and she looked at him in fear. "Lay, wipe those damn tears. Dad is coming." He pushed her back, and she managed not to fall. She wiped her tears and adjusted her hair and pursed her lips, putting on a normal expression to hide her fear. His father, John, arrived with a furrowed face. "John, Vaughn dear, what happened?" She remained silent as he wondered why she had screamed, but when he saw Lay also in the room, he was confused. "John, Lay, what are you doing here?" "Lay, I heard her scream, so I came to see what happened," he said, shrugging his shoulders, as if it wasn't a big deal for him, as he used lies and act in front of his dad. "John, why not I asked you something?" Lay gestured to her as if he were giving her a hint that he would harm her, so she tried to lie. "Why, I saw your mouse. I got scared there." John sighed with a small smile, and considering how young she was in his eyes, and went to her and tapping her shoulder. "John, Ryan, you are growing up little by little. You should be strong, not that weak." She forced a smile at him. "If you are this delicate, how can you continue your studies in your new school, huh?" He asked her in a friendly tone, but his son gritted his teeth because he didn't want Ryan to continue her studies. He didn't want to let her leave the house. He even wanted her to stop her studies and told her to pretend that she didn't want to study. He wanted his dad to make her to stop and keep her at home instead of going to school. His intentions were driven by his obsession with Vine, whom he considered to be his brother type, even though she was supposed to be his sister, even though they weren't biologically related. He suspected that because of her beauty, if she went to a new school, she would attract many boyfriends. Like, "Dad, I want to share something with you." "John, what is it?" Like, "Wine told me that she doesn't want to continue her studies, so it's better if you cancel." "John, wait, what?" He stopped play and looked at Wine with a serious face. "Wine, do you even know what you are even denying? Education is very important to everyone. Don't let your life go to waste, okay?" She felt relief inside. Then John scolded her in a manner not to stop her studies and believe in Lay's words. She nodded her head with an innocent look, noticing that Lay didn't like it. "John, and Lay, what happened to your brain?" "She is still a teenager. She still doesn't know what is correct and what's not. As her brother, you should motivate her. Why are you encouraging her in this matter?" "Like, stop calling me her brother, Dad. She is not even my sibling." He scoffed as he didn't consider Wine his sister, but only a pleasure dog. "John, shut up, Lay. Why are you like that, huh? Do you remember what I told you when I brought Wine to our home?" Lei seized with anger, looking down recklessly. John, Vine's parents are the one who saved me when I attempted suicide due to financial problems. They even gave me enough money to clear all my debts. When she lost her parents in the house fire, I saved Vine and brought her home. I asked her to consider me as her dad and you as her brother. I explained all this to you and asked you to treat her as your sister. But dad, John, no more words yet. Why haven't you left for your office yet? I'll go now. John, good, take care. Okay, dad. He glanced at Wine before leaving. John, Wine, go change your dress and head to your new school. I have already spoken to my friend, who is the principal, about you. Tears were about to fall, but she wrapped her arms around him in a side hug. Wine, thanks, dear. It means a lot to me. John, don't mention it. He patted her back. John is truly taking care of Wine as if she were his own daughter, which has led Wine to love John as her own dad without any hesitation. But she can't tell John about Leigh, who is abusing her terribly. Due to Leigh's indescribably cruel actions and his abusive words, Wine endures his torment. His serious warnings have prevented her from telling her dad about him, and this has a profound impact on Wine. She has become a weaker and more fearful girl who can't trust anyone except her dad, all because of Leigh's dominance. I hurriedly made my way to the principal's office with a transfer form in my hand. I was nervous wearing my new uniform and with my backpack slung over my shoulder. It was my first day at the school. As I approached the office door, I stopped when I finally noticed the sign in that read Principal's cabin. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and was about to knock on the door calmly when someone suddenly came out of the cabin and bumped into me. Meanwhile, the school's bad boy Jungkook, who is the son of the school's owner, opened the door to the cabin from the inside. After the principal lectured him about his attitude, he became tired of listening and broke off the lecture in the middle, ignoring him, and he left the room. As I walked, I rolled my eyes in annoyance, but I accidentally bumped into a girl who was standing in my way, causing her to lose her balance and nearly fall to the floor. New girl? I thought this might be a fun to play with. I was about to smirk, not getting a clear look at her face, but she grabbed my shirt tightly and screamed something startled. I lost my balance and fell on top of her, but when I finally saw her face, my eyes became fixed on her, and just before her head could touch the floor, my hand firstly moved to her as a shield. He was literally mesmerized by her as his eyes fell on her while she tumbled on the floor, and she reflected a sense of grace and a beauty and that appeared untouched by the other guys until now. Her flawless porcelain skin captured his attention, and a fear tightly closing her eyes held his gaze, as if he could never be able to look away from her. Bearing his full weight on her body, she felt no pain in her efforts to prevent her head from touching the floor. Slowly she opened her eyes, as if fearing that doing so might cause harm. What she saw was him hovering above her with his face just inches away. She became impressed by his striking handsomeness, and his deep brown eyes held a captivating attraction, as if they had the power to hypnotize anyone easily enough to gaze into them. One, please get off me, she mumbled, her words broken and not audible. When she finally managed to request that he move and he realized that it was time to get up, he extended his hand toward her, offering help to stand, but she chose to rise her by herself, which left him genuinely impressed by her. She didn't dare to meet his eyes again. She was afraid that if she made eye contact with him, he could make her fall for him. Jungkook, I like it, he said, scanning her figure. What's your name? She remained silent, her left hand squeezing her uniform shirt's hem in tension, while her other hand still holding the transfer form. He can ask again, but he wasn't the type to ask twice. Instead, he finally grabbed her wrist and raised it towards his eyes, causing her gaze to fall. In an instant, he began to read the form. Jungkook, so you are Wayne. What an interesting name. Are you a new transfer too? And your address? She managed to cover the form and pull her hand back, placing it behind her, avoiding eye contact as if she was too scared to make contact with him. Jungkook, hey, look into my eyes. He cut off his sentence when the principal came out of his cabin and looked at them clearly confused. Principal, what's going on here? Vine was too silent to speak, but he spoke with a poker face. Jungkook, not much, she is new here, he said, sliding his hands into his pockets, cursing himself under his breath. Shit, this old man has no sense. Just when the boy and girl were having fun, he comes and disturbs us. I swear, if he hadn't come now, I would have enjoyed some time with her. I'm leaving. And then left from there. And Vine didn't look at him, but she was still tense from where he fell on her. At the time, she didn't realize it that she had fallen not just on the floor, but also into danger. The principal called her. As she looked at him, her attention captured by his polite manner of speaking. Principal, are you Vine? She bowed to him before answering. Vine, yes. Principal, come inside the cabin. Let's discuss your academic records and do you have your transcripts from your previous school with you? Vine, yes I do. She followed him as he turned to go inside. Principal, John told me a lot about you. He smiled but Vine smiled awkwardly. Principal, but be careful here. Some of our fellow students are not that good, especially Mr. John. He is not from normal citizens. He is from Mafia. Principal, I don't need to tell you about them, but I have to because I know how innocent you are. At first, I didn't agree to your transfer to this school, just because it's not that safe for a girl like you. I had to agree because John asked me so many times. Vine didn't feel tense about how he described the students because it couldn't compare to her home. She had chosen this school as her final decision, being delicate or perhaps timid. Vine stood nervously beside the teacher, unable to introduce herself to the students, who were all gazing at her with curious eyes, seemingly captivated by her beauty. She remained silent, understanding her situation. Seeing her discomfort, the teacher decided to speak, not further worsen Vine's nervousness. Teacher, welcome to our class, Vine. We are happy to have you here. She cleared her throat and spoke loudly enough for all the students in the class to hear. Class, we have a new student joining us today. Her name is Vine. When the teacher happily introduced her to the class, Vine couldn't speak properly as all students stared at her, not blinking. Vine, hi everyone, this is Vine. Thank you for having me here. After she finished introducing herself, the class responded with warm and welcoming voices, which made Vine feel a little relieved. Teacher, please take a seat, Vine. Vine looked at the two empty desks and chose one and sat down with a smile. The teacher started the class after that, but it was suddenly disturbed when someone slammed the door, shocking everyone because it was Jungkook, who rarely came to class, not daily. Vine was shocked to see him in her classroom. His serious expression changed to one of the slight amazement when he saw Vine beside his desk. When their eyes met, she quickly looked away, fixing her gaze on the desk as if she didn't see him. She smirked and walked inside without even asking for permission. Teacher, Jungkook, didn't you hear that you should ask for permission before entering classroom? Jungkook, then you. Didn't you hear that you should welcome me, the owner of this school, when I arrive? He said sarcastically, which left the teacher with a blank expression and the rest of the students laughing. But Vine realized that he was the owner. Teacher rolled her eyes, pretending she didn't hear this. She continued the class. Jungkook went to his desk, which was just a step away from Vine's desk. She bit her lower lip, feeling his gaze on her, wondering why she had chosen to sit foolishly beside him.